Hey, welcome to the weekly open mic. We do this call for you folks. MSPs asked, and you folks wanted to hear what's new in the platform, what bugs we fixed, and you wanted to do a little R&D or rob and duplicate of automation ideas from your MSP peers. A couple reminders. This is a very technical call. If you're an MSP owner, exec, and you aren't necessarily the engineer, this may seem extremely technical. That's fine. Just sit back and listen and see the cool things that people are doing with automations, and then maybe try to get your engineers to join as well. Also, I know of approximately, you know what? I'm not going to answer. I'm going to have Dave answer this. Dave, do you know how many MSPs have been successful with automation that have never asked a question?
0.
You got it. Because it could be 2, 4, 24, but it's 0. One of the warning signs that I've identified is that if an MSP thinks they're an expert with automation, that's usually when they fail because they don't tend to ask questions. So use the COOP, that's the public channel, and your peers can help you in there, or use your private channel in Discord, and we will help you with your questions. I think that's the only reminders I want to do today. I'm super excited for Dan's demo here in a bit. Mr. Hayes. And I did see someone posting that they were excited. It was Will Young. I don't know how it leaked, like already that Dan Hayes is presenting something cool.
I
today.
Responded to somebody in the coop and said, yeah, I can check after I'm done presenting.
You've learned from me.
I might have also tagged him.
All right. Let's get started. Ash, what's up?
Thank you, Aaron. All right. So just as a reminder, I'm not going to be around next week. George will be covering. We may cameo in during the pre-show to say hi, but a bunch of us are going to be across the pond in the Netherlands. We are going to have an interesting, fun show today. I'm going to not waste any time and jump right over to, I think, are you like our second favorite Daniel on the call today?
Yes, exactly. No, it's probably third or at least fourth. I don't know how many. I'm the second favorite Roost Daniel on the call today.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Still top 5. Still top 5.
Yeah, still top 5, exactly. All right, I have some updates for you before we get to the fun stuff that Dan Hayes will be presenting. So I'm going to talk to you just about a few things that I'm excited about, and I'll show you some fun stuff. Okay, so what do we have new this week? We've improved the experience in the Create Marketplace of no results, so kind of like a null state for the Create Marketplace, or when there's no search results for you. We've added, again, Dan Hayes has done pretty much this entire section here. We've added a whole bunch more transforms. We'll fix the formatting on this after. And then we've also added, or we've made a change just to the Freshdesk integration. It referenced domain, but it really should have been a subdomain. So that was just for a little clarity's sake. One other thing that I won't be able to show today, but that I'm excited about and I wanted to celebrate too, is we have migrated a couple of massive tables to message pack serialization. That was done by Pavan, who's one of our rockstar engineers. That is a pretty big deal for us, I think. It drastically reduces the size of our database and how quickly it grows. That means for you all, that means you're going to have faster and smoother workflows because it can be less strain on our database. They'll probably be executing more quickly. Again, there's more room to grow as well. So yeah, we've been doing a whole bunch of work just on our, thanks to our platform team, on the reliability, stability, scalability of our platform as a whole. We're also doing a lot of work. I want to shout out to Lutfi on how efficient our deployments are. So I guess for everyone's information, we moved to twice a week deployments now, and we're going to try to continue to increase that so we can have like smaller, more or less risky deployments. But we're trying to do that very responsibly, and Lutfi is playing a huge part in that. So thanks to him. And then I'll quickly roll over just to show a few things before Dan can get his fun AI stuff out there. So you can just see, like, if I type stuff in now, we have no crates found. Before it was not as good of a user experience. I think it was blank. But yeah, that's something very simple that we've added that's hopefully going to be meaningful for people who are wondering why they have no search results. We have all these transforms. So Dan added, I think, 6 transforms this week. So if I test this out, you can see that these will all hopefully execute successfully. So you can see transforms range. So if I look at the input here, you can see that the start number was 1, the end number was 2, and it's stepped by 2. And the result of that is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, all the odd numbers from between 1 and 100, or from 1 to 100. We have an average. So you can see here, I entered in these numbers here, and my output was 17.5. These are all available in Jinja filters, by the way, but we're trying to move more towards transforms. We're trying to make this less reliant on Jinja and more give you more of the ability to transform your data without having to learn any sort of code. We have convert from epoch. So you have today's date or the time that I ran it, and you can see that it came out with more human readable date time format. We have extract part of date. So I wanted to extract the year from this date time, and it came out with the year. So you can extract any part, the date, day, month, year, seconds, hours, any of that type of stuff. We have URL encode and decode, which we showed off probably 6 months ago or so in a Jinja filter. Well, you can see here we have Roost.io/integrations. If you look at the result, it is it's an encoded URL, and that helps out a lot with, like, if you're getting emailed about some sort of like malicious if you're getting an email, you can encode those URLs, and there's less likelihood of like clicking on them and going to a malicious link. And then decode, which all I have this set up is to accept the encoded form or the encoded result of this, and it decoded it back into Rewst.io/integrations. So yeah, those are just some of the transforms that the lovely Dan Hayes has made available for us. And then all I'm talking about is in the configuration form for the Freshdesk integration, we changed this from domain to subdomain. We had a few questions about, like, oh, what are you guys looking for when you have when you're looking for what was called the domain? It's actually this subdomain part. So we just clarified the language there. But with that, I'm going to pass it on to Dan Hayes to blow everybody's mind.
Hey, I thought I was going to get to open it.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm going to pass it on to Aaron to bore everybody until Dan Hayes goes.
We had been planning to show this off in an open mic prior to last open mic's discussion, but there was a discussion last Friday on open mic about would we build like an AI agent / chat looking interface for customer interactions. And my feeling is, first, we want to let everyone integrate their AI into allowing automations to be run. It's very similar to where we started with endpoint script execution. We didn't go straight to, hey, let's create our own RMM. Instead, we just enabled all the major RMMs to integrate with Roost. And the way we do this with AI is through an MCP server. And one of the reasons why I didn't, why I wanted to do this was I was afraid the MCP server would just get lost in a list of bullet point influx of new features, and folks wouldn't necessarily understand the power of it. And so Dan has done a great job setting up a demo for you folks to see how powerful it is to take an agent interface and point it at a Roost MCP server. Dan, I've set you up.
Sweet.
Go do your thing.
Yeah, so I'm just going to share my screen here real quick. Let's see. All right, so you should see Roost right now. You guys see Roost?
Yep.
Okay. So first off, I want to start off by showing some of the MCP features in this, and also just be warned, you might see some graphical artifacting. That's not the app, that's my machine. I don't know why it's doing it, and I haven't bothered troubleshooting it. But, you know, we have RoboRoosty, and, you know, with the MCP server, you'll be able to do things like list my org variables, and then it will go and it will fetch that information from the MCP server. And then there's also other things that you can do, but I'm not going to do them all in here, because then I'd just be repeating the same thing over and over and over again every time I show something. So we can see here, you know, here are the organization variables for Roost staff. And then I can also do things like list my integrations. And then this will come back with a list of my installed integrations. So then once this finishes running, then I'll kind of show 3 different examples of using the MCP server with different AI agents or different setups. So just to elaborate on that while this is still working, I set it up so that I can run it through Fast Agent, which is a module for Python. So that runs via the terminal. And then I also set it up under a application called Cherry Studio. And then I also wrote like a custom like chat interface with AI. So eventually, once this finishes, we can see here, this is all that. And then I can go ahead and start showing the custom ones. So I'll stop sharing for a second. And let me just share this now, so we can see Cherry Studio. So Cherry Studio is kind of like Claude Desktop. I'm running this versus that because I'm running Linux and there's no Claude Desktop on Linux. So we can see here, this is an entirely different application, and I can do the same thing. I can say, you know, trying to think of a good example. So list my org variables.
Can you zoom in?
I can't, at least I don't think I can now. So yeah, this won't let me zoom in, but then this is due to how I have this set up. So once this finishes.
Or if you can press the little plus icon at the bottom left, and then you zoom in on Dan's screen.
So, you know, imagine this is your agent interface, right? We want to enable everybody to be able to put their AI brain in our robot body.
Yeah, now we'll see this error here, not authorized. Apparently my token expired, which of course would happen during a demo. But basically this is just showing, like, you know, you can interact with the MCP server. It has a whole bunch of different tools and everything. So kind of the same idea. I'm going to switch it to the terminal. And let's see. So we can see here I have this, and then kind of the same idea. You know, this is also using the same token, so it's also probably going to fail, but list my workflows. So then we can see it's listing off all my workflows in my environment. And then along with that, I've also wrote a custom chat app. So I'm just going to stop sharing that and then go to that. So window and quad chat interface. All right, so it should be showing a chat interface now. So, in here we can see like these are all the tools that are available to us. I just have this loading in JSON, but you can list organizations, read a single integration by ID, list integrations. You can also execute workflows with this, which is what I'm going to try and show off now. So let's see, what workflows can you run? All right, so we got our workflows here. Now, it's important to note, you'll see that in the last thing I showed, it showed more workflows. So that was showing all workflows. What this is showing right now is just workflows that I can execute. So one of the things that's going to get added is a trigger that's called MCP trigger. And basically, if a workflow has the MCP trigger, that enables it to be executed by the MCP server. So you have to specifically allow it to execute those workflows, basically. But we can go ahead and list tickets by company. And then it's going to prompt me for the inputs. So we'll just do Daniel Hayes Tech. And then yes. Then eventually it should return a execution ID or the execution results. So let's see. All right, so that's now processing. And the email just came through, so that means it finished. So can you summarize the results of execution? And then this should come back and basically return information on open tickets, because that's what my workflow is doing. And the nice thing is it will actually summarize like repeated issues and stuff like that. So once this loads, yep, so we can see here, I have 65 tickets for Pax8 extra license removal failures, all marked as new, ranging from February 2023 to June 2023. And then, some other things that it noticed. But it's kind of neat because it's going through and analyzing the data that it's getting back to give me some useful information. So my idea behind setting this up originally was, an operations manager looking for like an AI assistant to help them review tickets that are open for different customers or things like that. So that's my demo.
That's amazing. Anybody want to ask Dan any questions? Celebrate him in the chat, continue that. You've got a lot of kudos going on in there.
How did you get to be so awesome, Dan?
That was answered in there too. Curiosity.
I love you, Dan.
How long did it take? Kelvin is asking.
How long did it take to make?
So the terminal thing took maybe an hour or two. That was just largely reading documentation. It's actually really easy to set up the fast agent. The Cherry Studio took like 5 minutes because it's just pre-made. And then the custom chat application, that was a lot of vibe coding and then fixing the vibe coding. And then eventually kind of ditching the vibe coding after that because it was causing me more work. But that was, I don't even know, probably close to like 8 hours overall, probably.
All right, Logan's got his hand up. We'll let you ask your question, and we'll move on.
Hey, Dan. Originally, this was posted as a meme, but it is kind of a serious question as it is oriented around security.
Yep.
If you asked it for the Microsoft integration refresh token, would it provide it?
It would not, because that's not returned by the call for the MCP. Or let me rephrase that. I haven't tried it, but it's not in the return, so it wouldn't have access to the information.
I'll put it this way. The MCP server does not access anything related to pack configurations or anything like that. We do have the ability to list your installed integrations, but that is it. We do not list anything related to your pack configurations. It would take a very, very strong use case for us to be able or willing to do that, in my opinion, because that is very sensitive data. That being said, everything that you saw is scoped to your user with it, when you're accessing RoboRoosty. It's very, very similarly to how people have used the Graph API token in the past. It is very, very similar to how you authenticate with the MCP server going forward. So just to kind of clear the air on that, there's no sensitive data that it can access now.
So to rephrase it slightly, it's accessing GraphQL, but only certain aspects of GraphQL are available to the MCP.
Correct.
Perfect.
And under the context of the user who is interacting with RoboRoosty.
Correct.
So if you don't have access to certain things as like your user doesn't, then it doesn't have access to that either.
Exactly.
It is it's worth mentioning though, like in my example where I'm returning things from the workflow in the workflow results, it's going to have access to the workflow results. So that would be the only case where, you know, if you had it in the workflow result, then it might be there, but you would have to include it.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Pizza and Logan, for the question. All right, we're going to keep it moving because I want to make sure that we get to the awesome demos that we've got and discussions. Let's go over to JP.
Hello, everyone. This week in the marketplace, we don't have any new crate releases for this week, but we do have a good number of fixes and adjustments to existing workflows. Just to go over where some of our upcoming stuff rests. The refactor of the sync crate for this is for Datto PSA Autotask. That's done, and we're just working on documentation for that, so it should be released next week. BitLocker activation and deployment stuff is also just we're looking at review and documentation for that. Workstation offboarding is a little bit more in the works and should be released in the next couple weeks. And the enhanced logging for user offboard is kind of an ongoing project. It's pretty spread out, and it's a fairly large workflow. So that's what we did this week and what we have coming up the next week or two.
All right, thank you, JP. Now we are going to jump over to our Eddie Chow for some of his notorious edification.
Hey everybody, I don't have a fun story for today, but we do have updates from the training side. So let me share my screen and we'll jump into it. So first and foremost, shout outs. For those who don't know, we have a couple of certification exams every week. We shout out all of those who have passed. So for the first one, Roost Foundations, we have Brian, Mario, Miranda, Nick, Noel, Bree, Nicholas, Ashmit, Nicholas, Verson, and Truby. Congrats on passing your Roost Foundations certification. And then over on Clean Automation, we got Adam, Verson, Miranda, Jack, Nicholas, Jessica, other Nicholas, and Daniel for passing Clean Automation. If you haven't checked out those courses, as well as the other courses on learn.roost.io, make sure you check those out. We're doing our best to churn out as much content as we can. And if you want to see additional content, if there are things that you've learned on your own and you believe is beneficial for everyone else, let us know in Discord. We're constantly looking for more things to help you guys out on, so let us know in Discord. From there, we have office hours every Friday. So as you're going through content, if you have any questions on any of the videos, any of the content that you watched, head over to office hours. We'd love to sit down with you, work through any questions that you have. It's more of a live collaborative session for you guys as well. Sign up is here on this link. It happens right now on Fridays. And then a huge shout out to our documentation team, constantly churning out more and more documentation for all of the things that you guys have been seeing in these demos. right? Things like new crates, things like transforms. We are learning a lot here on the call. For some people, it can be hard going back to the recording, finding the right timestamp, or maybe videos aren't really your thing, right? You would rather just read the thing or just read through the steps. Documentation is there for you too. Things like new crates, things like the transforms that you guys saw earlier is being documented. So a lot of these things kind of fly under the radar, but again, just want to call those out because those are for you, and take advantage of this AI search as well. Got a question, it's 3 a.m, you want to ask, but no one's awake, ask AI, combs through our documentation, does that for you too. And I think that's it for training updates. Throwing it back over to you, Ash.
Thank you, Eddie. All right, so now we are going to jump into some demos, and we may have time for them all, but we will definitely get to the ones from the customers. All right, here we go. Let's jump over to David first. David, you want to tell us a little bit about what you built?
Yeah, sure. Of course, now that I'm testing my thing, I'm finding that something doesn't work right. So we'll see how it goes. I'm David. I'm a quality ops engineer with ZAG Technical Services. We're a mid-sized MSP, about 5,800 endpoints. We're based out of Salinas, California. I've presented before, but I didn't understand the workflow that I was presenting. Kind of what Dave said. Like, I'm not really a coder originally, so I vibe code some stuff and try to figure it out, and then reverse engineer. I'm learning a lot from using AI and LLM to like build stuff and then figure out what it did wrong and troubleshoot it. That's a good way for me to learn. So I've definitely come a long way with that. But first, I'm going to share my screen. I'll show you kind of where I came from. I'm going to demo a change that I made to the change password form to add some functionality to it. So let's see here. I can do this without showing everything. There we go. So this started with a unified communications form that I had built a few months back, basically to give our techs, a single safe place where they can send their messages. They can select like SMS or email or whatever, and it'll go through. And the key part of that is that I had built some redaction code. This is what I didn't understand the last time we talked. That will, check for strings and tokens and Jinja tokens and things like that, and add a redaction message if somebody were to put CTX organization into the body field or something like that. They wouldn't get the Jinja back. They're just going to get a redaction message. So I kind of stole that from this code to put it into some other stuff. And basically, like I said, that's just checking for a string and then checking for the Jinja tokens. There's an email branch too. We don't really need to get into all that. But the real thing that I came to show is that we had the Roost synced, change password form. And then we also had the unified comms form that we were using every time we would, set a password, right? We would have to change it, and then we'd have to go to this other form to send it. And so it's like, why not just put these things together? And so I can, just do the same normal thing, like select a user, yada yada, require the change, whatever, it's going to do the thing, and then I just say like, all right, oops, I can type and then that's right, and then I submit. And so that's going to actually change the password. It'll run through this workflow to do the password change, and then I set up a listener on it that'll actually, when it's all done and complete, basically, it'll check to see whether the send password variable is set, and then actually send it. I did have to desync this to add some fields in here for, it's for some reason it's set to that. I don't know. That probably explains why it's doing what it's doing. And so I had to, I did have to update the inputs and whatnot to make it actually, accept the things that I need for the listener. And then the listener is pretty simple. It really just takes the inputs and then sends it through the core SMS. And then, here I've got like your, the redaction code that I was talking about earlier, where it's checking for the Jinja tokens, makes a ticket or an update to the Halo ticket, which if I can show it here.
Hey, David, do you mind if I ask you to try and, some people are saying that they can't see the screen and then some people are saying that they can. Do you mind like stopping the share and then trying to reshare it?
Sure
In case
can,
it might
no
be
problem.
something weird.
Yep, no problems at all. I do live in the middle of nowhere and I've been having some trouble with my internet, so that is
I was seeing it fine. I don't know how that makes sense, but
no problems.
Just in case.
It's how it goes sometimes. So all right, so I've reshared. Hopefully, if you guys can see.
it's loaded up. Yeah.
Okay. I'll give it a moment. Is that better? It says it's sharing.
Yeah, I can see it now and looks like you're getting some thumbs up. That's weird. All right,
Okay.
let's continue.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. So I mean, basically, like I'm grabbing the the log from the ticket, or from the password change, and putting it into the ticket here, and then I get my text message with my password, and then I also get an email that, if I can find it. Like I said, I think something broke in there today right before I started doing this, so I have to kind of check it. And well, this always goes right with the demos. But I do get an email that kind of shows at the end. If I go back to my workflow here, I can show you what it said. It just message sent successfully, and then it'll, if the password is included in there, it will strip that password out so that it's not sitting in there in email. It also does reach out to the ZenQuote API and grab a little quote to make you feel good about yourself when you get your success email. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple, really. I just had to change the form, add in a couple of fields, add a couple of variables. And then, I was able to reuse some of the code that I had already made, and it helped me understand it. I was able to make it a little bit better, and it works pretty well. So that's what I got. Hopefully it helps somebody else. And if anybody has questions or whatever, you want to ask me about it, I'm always available. Like I said, pretty simple, not anything that people here can't do, but still, it was a lot of fun for me to build.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm just checking to see if there were any questions. It looked like a few people were getting an issue, but then they were rejoining. I got it. So if you didn't catch it, you can watch the recording afterwards. I'm sure that'll be all there for you. Thank you again. Let's jump now to Josh. Josh, can you tell us a little bit about when you started with Roost and what your goals are and what you're going to talk about here?
Yeah. Hey everyone, I am Josh Hobein. I got put on the spot today by Ash because Ash is awesome. I said, "Yep, I'll do it." So we are complete noobs to Roost. I've logged into Roost twice, so I won't be showing any cool workflows or anything. However, in talking with her, I think we can provide some value here because a little bit about me. My title as of now is the information security lead at a managed service provider called Centrics IT. We're based out of San Diego. We're fairly large, just under 60 employees. So my role has been mainly focused on security. However, I have quite a bit of experience in MSPs, just about 20 years. And I've also ran operations at restaurants, up including to being general manager. I've opened a lot of stores, so I have a lot of business process and how to run a business kind of experience. So I recently got put into the role of being the business process automation lead. So I get to combine that with security and kind of oversee our team. So I'd been trying to get us on Roost for quite some time. Even with security, I've kind of worked on some automations, a lot of stuff involving SIP. So shout outs to Ash and Kelvin for that. But now we are fully integrated into the world of Roost. So I'm overseeing a Roost engineer, and then there's a handful of other people that are on the team. So kind of where, I want to bring value is show, like, you just sign up for Roost and you're like, it can do all the things. What do I do next, right? So branding is important, first off. So I tried coming up with some bird name, puns to call our team name and to have like our releases and have people help out. But I was drawing up blanks. And as I was like kept describing and using the word automate, my wife is like, you guys should be the Autobots. And that one comment sent me into a spiral, and it is the perfect branding. So I've called our team, we're the Autobots because we automate things, we transform how the business will work. And because I still do security, we're the good guys. We protect and we defend. So it's perfect, and I get to make a lot of propaganda posters about joining the Autobots to help the team. So initially, what we're doing is we are going through and fully fleshing out just like a user onboarding and an add remove group to the rest of the organization. From that, once we get those fully on, and I can share my screen here, this is kind of our idea on how we can get the rest of the company involved in thinking about automation and submitting their ideas. So this isn't Roost. This is another tool. It's just a project management tool that we use. But we have an idea box. So again, branding is important. This is called the Autobot assembly line. So again, as we go, we're going to have people in our organizations, think about what do they do in the day-to-day that we can automate, and what can we do for, clients and things like that. Work through, and we go through and submit the idea. So, we need the name of it. What does the automation do? To the person saying that it's in Decepticon colors, I can't change those yet, so to be determined. But anyway, what applications are used in this process? As we all know, Roost needs the integrations. So we need to know what things that we need to have integrated to make sure, A, they are integrated, and if not, then we need to go through and build those integrations. Asking how many hours, so that way we can get some sort of return on investment. Is the process documented? As I'm sure you guys know, or people trying to build the process, automate the processes. If they're not documented, it's really hard to do that. That is one of the things that I'm excited that we do have, is we do have all of that super boring documentation on, each client has their onboarding form. So now we just get to go through and go line by line and automate all of those, and then for use for internal or clients. So from there, it goes to kind of our project board, where we get all of the ideas, and then we can go through them. We can, mark the different statuses and all of that. It goes to the feature. We're running it as basically dev sprints, where we have the initial sprint, and we can, go through all of these things and determine what the priority is based off of effort to make that, the return on investment of hours saved, the user impact. So is it, going to be impactful to not only the end user, but is it just going to make the service desks live easier, the operations, kind of that quality of life thing, build a timeline. We have our release things of when it, we have it documented, integrations, all that fun stuff. The Kanban I had a little bit of fun with. Again, it's all Transformers theme. So we have, the ignition, which is a new idea. Scanning and assessing is the discovery of what we need to it. Decepticon detected means that there's a hold on it, and then transforming is we're working on it. Diagnostics is review and Q&A, and then we have Allspark achieved when we release it. So yeah, that is kind of our process on it, and really looking forward to dive in. I'm going to start doing those the Roost training, so my name will be on.
Hey, Josh, did we lose you? Just in time as that. Is everybody else hearing me? Is it me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
I hear you.
Okay. I was just making sure. It's I think that we'll check to see if, oh, there you are. Well, wait a second here. I was just seeing, I think I wasn't sure whether it was a screen freeze or not.
Saw the search
I wonder
bar,
if
and
there's
that
a
was
Teams
it.
issue happening. Is it possible?
Microsoft wouldn't admit it, so it
It's
doesn't
Microsoft. Anything's possible.
matter. Just give it a Microsoft minute.
Is it? Can I even stop? Okay, there. No, never mind.
You're
There,
saying
it
you can stop
stopped.
it.
It
You
might
have
be
to
Screen
wise
share.
to kick him so he can rejoin.
Yeah. How do I see Josh? Sorry, everyone. I don't see him in here, so he might have gotten out. Okay. Should we? I guess should we jump into? We've got 15 minutes left, and we've got one more demo. We can jump into that, and then I think it's kind of a similar. Like Derek, do you? Are you on? Do you want to?
Yeah.
We can keep an eye on the screen share and make sure that it's not being weird for anybody.
Well, sure, but I think I know why it's being weird for everybody.
Oh.
Because nobody else has created a sacrifice to the demo gods form yet. So before I do anything else, let me just do my sacrifice here. We'll just sacrifice Gary the Goat. Okay, so I should be good. All right. Let me continue. I actually had a similar idea to a canny board or something along those lines, but I'm of the opinion that Roost can do anything. So I thought, well, Roost can handle this. So I created an idea portal for us. It's pretty basic right now. I've got some plans to build it out, but it is working, and I wanted to show it off to everybody. So first thing you hit is obviously our dashboard, which gives us a little bit of metrics. Nothing too crazy. All of these are stored in a SQL database, so if we want to pull it into our Bright Gauge or some other metricizing tool, we can. But this just gives us a high-level overview, and it also gives us the 10 most recent ideas submitted. With a little view button here as well. And that kind of drills down and gives us more of what the actual idea is, how much time it takes per instance, and how many instances per month. Then through that, we calculate our estimated time savings. And we only calculate that with stuff that's currently in progress because, might not all work and get approved. But if you want to see like all of the ideas in the portal, certainly just hit that browse button, and it's the exact same layout, except it just will list all of them. We have some searches, some filters, things like that. Once again, we have our handy little view. For some reason on this screen, my footer here is overwriting. I don't know what's going on with that. Also, my open an admin button deep linking isn't working yet, so be easy on that. But what I think is probably the coolest is, this is pretty cool. It's just showing data, but what happens to those people that make the decisions, and how do we get it from in review to in progress? Well, that's our admin console, of course. So we do that, and we can edit every idea. And there are a couple things that we can edit. If we want to change what team it's going to, we can change the team. Maybe it's not a high priority. Maybe it's a level 3. And then we'll go ahead and kind of, let's see, we'll say this one's in progress. And maybe we'll add automate to our tool set. So this actually runs on a trigger for a workflow. And it's a super easy workflow. This particular path just updates our SQL, but it does it with a webhook, and it uses the parameters in the link. And so if you want to see kind of what you're changing, this really is for testing purposes mostly, but you can kind of see how it builds it out with the and. So it's going to include the webhook URL with all of these different parameters. And then our SQL logic is going to update the appropriate idea based on the ID. So we can just hit change or save changes here. We see there's our webhook response. And by the time we reload the dashboard, we should get those updates. So we see we changed the team, changed priority P3. It's now in progress. And we can see our automate is there as well. And the final part of this, obviously, is what happens if you have a new idea? Well, you just submit an idea, and it sends you over to the form where you enter all the pertinent information. Yeah, it's like I said, it's super cool. The entire thing actually runs on this workflow. That's it. We have our form trigger that writes to SQL. This is our admin console trigger. And then this is just pulling the SQL database every time you load the page. So super easy, super cool. Yeah, any questions?
Yeah, I would like to see the code in your app builder for that.
I know you would. I was told that I'm allowed to share this if I don't share the code.
I don't want to copy your dashboard. I just want to see what you did so I can do something similar, because app builder is my biggest headache right now.
So I will say this, none of this is actually in app, like it is in app builder, but it's all templated. The entire page is one template that is loaded with HTML and JavaScript. That's it. So app builder is only displaying the information that I give it. I've written everything myself.
Yeah. Okay. So you're just calling it. You're using it like a I might just lost my train of thought.
It's like a single page app.
No, actually, the apps are all coded. They're with their own pages, and so that is something that tripped me up. If you have ever got into like web dev and built some pages, you can't use just a normal A tag to link something because this sits inside of an iframe. You have to like target top level on it, and that's how you can kind of force the pages to change as you need them.
That's the word I was looking for. iframe.
Yeah, just a little.
It's just an iframe.
Yeah, it is, but it all sits in Roost's iframe. We can't do. At least I wasn't able to really edit that part of it. It just sits in a self-contained environment, sandbox. But yeah, super easy. I mean, it's really easy to code. You know, the dumb stuff like I got a complaint initially that, well, I don't use dark mode. Okay, so you know, you just code a light mode option. Point it to your browser preferences, and then it pulls that before it loads the page. But yeah. Anything else?
Got through that. Awesome. Thank you. I got booted out of Teams there for a moment, and I just got back. But that's really cool. So now what I want to know, Josh, I guess, like, because now it's kind of interesting, like the two of you are on two sides of this spectrum a little bit. You're back, right?
I'm back. Yes.
Yes. I was kind of interested, like, because like this is almost like Derek has been using Roost for a really long time, and he's kind of pulled your kind of concept of what you're talking about into Roost. And I think that when you left, I don't know if we actually saw the screen of the thing that you were showing us. I think we were just seeing the login page or the submission page. So could you kind of like?
Yeah, I can definitely reshare if it helps.
And then we can talk about it. I don't know. Like, what do you guys like? I guess Derek can also afterwards, like if you guys wanted to, like, if anybody else had any questions or is on that journey too, or this sparks any ideas for anyone.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Where did I cut off in talking when I was showing, or just so I can kind of pick it right back up there?
I think you actually were wrapping up. I think you were like, and this is how we hold all
Yeah, you're
those
talking about
together
the
and then
Kanban statuses, I think.
Okay, so yeah, I can kind of just show, hopefully Teams doesn't break again, but so this is kind of our idea box where, we want to empower our team to, think about what they can automate and submit it. So we get the submission form where they fill out this information. Once that goes through, then it goes into this kind of idea box where, me and the team can kind of figure out what we're wanting to prioritize based off of different things. And then it goes into like a feature where we can, take these in sprints. So trying to work like dev cycles, where we prioritize based off of various different things. And then we have all of this, documented as far as the timeline of release view, milestones, and then we have a fun Kanban where it's all Transformers themed. So, ignition to scanning and assessing, Decepticon detected, there's some sort of problem or hold. Transforming is obviously in progress, working diagnostics, and then Allspark achieved. We did it, and we released it. So again, we're just starting this, so we want to get these two, but as soon as we open the floodgates, I'm sure there's the whole team is going to do this. And again, we're designing like propaganda posters to join the Autobots and make sure that we're thinking about automation and everything that we do. So it's going to be fun, and it's a lot, but yeah, that's kind of, again, it's not in Roost, but we need a place to gather all the ideas to know what to work on.
You need to know what you're doing in order to know what to do in Roost. Yeah,
exactly.
It's like you branded your center of excellence and made it part of your culture.
That's the key. So that's how we're starting with it.
Does anybody have any questions for Josh? I have a question if everybody else can think about their questions. How are you, because you use a lot of tools and you think about tooling in a very practical way around how it integrates with your other systems. So like, how are you, like, do you have kind of like a backlog of like wishes of like how things go together from like an application? Or are you kind of like just letting the users kind of surface those needs to start?
So, I mean, after we get those first two initial ones, I'm basically going to be working with the service desk or operations to, like, they're going to submit all of these ideas. Like, already the service desk is like, wait, I don't have to manually type this ever again. Like, I need this done yesterday. So really kind of prioritizing those. Again, one of the key benefits is we're very strict on documentation. So all of our processes right now, are mostly manual, but they do have a KB that, goes through the painstaking detail of do this, do this, do this, do this. So, Ash, if you ever wanted to just work a day here, I'd be able to throw you in and you could read our KB and do the work. So it's just going to be a matter of prioritizing based off of return on investment, hours saved, and all of that. But, once we get past that point, I think it's going to really getting ideas from calls like these, the community, just to see what's out there, and then tapping into the rest of our employees to really, again, think with that through the lens of automation of, when we're asked to do something, or looking at, how the client works. I mean, we do have like VCIOs, integrated technical account managers that truly understand the business processes of our partners or our clients. So like, you understand what they do and how they work. What can we do using, Rooster or AI to automate those and kind of get it client facing?
It's really awesome. Anybody have any questions or follow-ups? Otherwise, Aaron, any final parting words?
Thank you, everybody. I saw new faces today. That was exciting when Teams was working. I got about half the demos, but a lot of you got more of them. So I am happy that you folks got to see them. So thank you for the new folks for demoing. I know it can be stressful. It's a very large room full of people that you may not know, and you took time out of your day to do it. And so we thank you. And thank you, Ash, for putting this all together. And have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see you again next Friday. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Meow.
Meow, meow.
Meow.